And I am looking at her when I do this because I have to know where to touch her. But I'm trying not to stare at her. Let's see. I'm gonna try again. And this is where I have to be careful not to put psychological expectations on the dog. And it's like, well, okay. You don't want any more peanut butter? All right.
What about starting with the cheese again?
Yeah, I might. Add a little cheese and peanut butter.
When you say psychological expectation, what do you mean, Julie?
Like, I'm not sitting here going, expecting an outcome. You know, like, I'm just watching what the dog does. Now that's really hard when you're in front of a bunch of people, right? Like, you just gotta go with the flow, right? Like, so if you actually like get flustered and all that, it makes it 10 times worse. So you need to invest in spray cheese
Oh, yeah.
and some peanut butter.
I love keeping the cheese. I go to Dollar General, just grab it.
And I mean, you could use anything that's really attractive to her. Liverwurst is another good thing because it's a paste.
Okay,
Canned cat food tends to
Mhm.
work good,
okay.
you know, but if the dog likes something a lot, I'm just gonna use that.
You just do a couple sessions a day with her, or just whenever?
Like one.
One?
And I usually try to scratch that spot right between the eyes. That tends to be like a relaxing pressure point
Okay.
area. And then, you know, as time, so it's tomorrow. Same exact thing. Touch on this side of the nose here, and maybe she lets you here a little bit. And I would do that tomorrow, and then the next time you work with her, like maybe you could get a little further here. What I try to do is get them to realize it feels good.
Yeah.
As soon as they realize it feels good, they're gonna want it.
I know my husband's like, I just want to go and hug her because it's gonna
Oh,
feel good.
no.
And he
No.
don't, but you know, I'm like, the thought is nice, but
Mm.
you know, maybe one day.
Yeah, that might be too much at first.
I can't remember, what, do you know much about her background?
She was 8 weeks old when the rescue found her, and found her mom in the litter in a junkyard. And so the people, whoever had the junkyard, were scared of the mom, and so that's about it. But somebody called the rescue and said, "Hey, can you help?" But the rescue didn't know they were feral. You know, some of them were, or they wouldn't have went and got them. But once they had them, then they're gonna, they breed home most of them, except for the three I have. She did try to bite at 8 weeks old, but you know, she was scared, little puppy.
Yeah.
And she was with them until May, and then she's been with me
Mhm.
since May. And then her mom come in like June, and then her brother come last month, I think it was.
Okay.
And the mom's not as scared as she is, and then the brother's not as scared as any of them.
Did you see what she just did? She's like, "Where's my peanut butter?"
Oh, so she did, yeah.
They were gonna euthanize her when she bit, but some reason, somebody
Oh,
there
jeez.
said no, and so here we are. I'm like, she was scared, she was 8 weeks old.
What'd they
But-
try to do?
Huh?
Yeah.
What'd they do?
I can't remember what it was.
Tried
It
to
was
pick
something
her
when they
up
were
or something.
rescuing, so probably going to get her or something, yeah.
So, this is where feral dogs are a little different. Like, I mean, most of them do not want to bite people, you know, but they will if they're cornered. Puppies, especially, man. I
Yeah.
pulled Indy's puppies out from under a shed. I'm like, come on out, you know. And as soon as I got their head out, I put a towel over their head because I knew they were gonna. And you grab them like here so they can't reach you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, they're trying to bite me, of course. I'm like totally being invasive, and they're scared to
Yeah.
death.
When I first got in trouble at probably 10 weeks, you know, it's like he's out in the yard and I'm trying to get him to come back in, and I think I probably didn't have any time. And I like came up behind him, I went to grab him, and it was like a gremlin, it was like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, trainer. What did I get myself into? Cute little puppy, this is not what I expected.
Well, I always wondered, I was like, well, they were 8 weeks old when they were found. How come they're so scared? But then the, you know,
They didn't do anything with
they,
them.
yeah.
Because it's hard.
Another component too, don't you think?
I don't know.
I kind of thought that, or
I
somebody.
think she's doing pretty good. I don't know. But no,
Cause the
because
mom-
if the feral, I mean, look at the puppies, like Flapjack, right? He was in the shelter when he was 4 months old, but B was the only employee, and he just sat there and he's still feral. You know, like, and then they actually suffer from developing their brain properly because they're in a deprived environment. And so, and then they can't retain memory, and so people be like, gosh, like working with this dog, it's like the same lessons every
That's what
day.
you're talking about, that
Right?
shepherd, yep, that's right.
So, no, I mean, unless someone changes their mind, they're gonna be feral because that's all they know.
You said that, what did you just say about their brain not developing?
When they're in a deprived environment, and I remember Coltrane.
Yep.
And Hawkeye, like I've had dogs, when I heard this, I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
makes sense.
that's
Yep.
why these dogs were the way they were. Is when they're in a deprived environment and they can't get out and explore or do normal dog stuff, their brains don't develop as fully. On the flip side, if they're in a very enriched environment, let's say free roaming feral dogs, their brains are very developed. With lots of, what do they call it, branches and dendrites or whatever.
Okay.
So, you know, the feral, like hoarding case puppies were actually the hardest because they didn't have any. They were feral and they didn't have anything to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
So,
they did they've done studies on how poverty affects
Mm.
children.
mm-hmm,
You know, there's a really good book, Teaching with Poverty in Mind, because kids who grow up in, you know, depravity like that, their brains don't develop fully, and so then
Wow.
they have issues, and then, you know, you're putting them into a school system and you're expecting them to perform like the other kids, and they're just not, you know, and it's
That's why I'm not.
I mean, that would be, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yes.
get more info about
Yeah.
that.
It's a very interesting book, and it's, you know, it's really supposed to, you know, a woman that I was teaching with, at the time, and it was Fairfax, Virginia. You have all different cultures and different, you know, economic levels, and so, you know, you try to reach every kid in the classroom, so.
There's an interesting book called The Body Keeps Score, and it's about trauma with humans and how it affects our bodies. You know, and I'm like, well, it has to affect dogs too, in some way. And I don't consider like free roaming dogs necessarily traumatized, but their environment does shape their behavior. But, you know, dogs kept in hoarding situations or that are abused or all this stuff, yeah, that's, you know. And there was a study about dogs from Fukushima that were abandoned during the nuclear disaster versus dogs that were abandoned in other ways. And the dogs from Fukushima had additional damage to their brains or something. I can't remember what it was, but because of all the trauma involved in it as well. It's really interesting. So when trainers say, oh, the dog's fearful, just train it like every other dog, I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, how can you train every dog the same? You just can't. Just like you can't teach every kid the same, you know?
That's the most she's recoiled from your touch there in several iterations. Of
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's been staying pretty stationary when you touch her and then waiting for the cheese or the peanut butter, whatever it is.
Good stuff, huh?
Oh.
Yeah, different.
Yeah.
Maybe I had my hand at a different angle or something like that. So when you're doing this at first, you have to be pretty consistent about how you're moving.
Okay.
You don't want to, you know, surprise the dog or anything like that. You could also use whipped cream. That's like doggy crack, man. But the noise might be too much.
But yeah, that whipped cream can line up.
I felt so bad because Tipton would come over to me when I get my afternoon coffee. Sometimes I would put whipped cream on it if I had leftovers from Thanksgiving or whatever. And then even now, he'll still come over like, whipped cream? Like, it's been 6 months, dude. I don't have it. So I felt bad. I bought a can of it for him. The other thing Farrell, so another story about Tipton. Counter surfer, right? So feral dogs are very good at getting into things or getting out of things. Getting into, like, if he sees a chip bag or some kind of food container on the ground, he's like, I want to eat out of that.
Yeah.
And so he's very fast at doing it. But when Shar died, he started counter surfing really badly. And I try not to leave stuff out. I mean, I have dogs, I'm smart, but you know, we all make accidents, and he started getting really, really good at it. So he got a ceramic container that I had on my counter full of dog treats, carried it all the way to the living room, and then broke it. And I don't know if he broke it on purpose or not, but you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, what the heck? So I called Phyllis and I'm like, what do I do? How do I keep this dog from getting on my counter? She's like, well, you gotta set a trap. And so I tried like a scat mat. I tried, what else did I try? The scat mat, he was like, I am wise to that because I have an electric fence. And then you said you gotta put like metal in a box with the chicken in the box. And then when he pulls the box off, the metal sound will scare him. So I tied a bunch of old hinges to this cardboard box, left the room, and I hear, you know, clatter, clatter, clatter. And I look in the kitchen and Tipton's like, oh, chicken, eating out of the box. Like, it did not scare him at all.
Wow.
He's like, oh, I've done this before.
Yeah, but he didn't do it all when Char was there.
No, but Char would guard the counters.
I've heard putting pennies in a bag and putting them on a cookie sheet, and then when they hit it, it pops and scares them.
For a normal dog, that would work. We're dealing with a enriched environment brain dog.
Her mom steals stuff all the time at the house. I'm always having to go, Steve, pick up your shoes, or pick up the, you know.
Yeah, I did for one dog was, because, there you go, is sometimes they didn't have things, and so they tend to hoard stuff. And so I'll just give them a ton of stuff in a room by themselves. Just be like, here's a, you know, I have like a bucket of toys.
Yeah.
Here's all the toys. You're behind a gate. No dogs can bother you. Explore.
Very interesting.
So instead of making things scarce, I make things plentiful, and it did help.
Okay.
She does something similar with resource guarding stuff.